Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to Life Recovery Today. Steve Arterburn here, and with Dr. Dave Stoop, we put together a Bible 30 years ago. If you can imagine that, 30 years ago, it is the anniversary of the Life Recovery Bible. Let me show you something. This is a special leather Bible that Dave and I received in 1998. So the Bible came out in 92, and in 98, we had sold 200,000 copies. And so here is this wonderful leather-bound edition that they sent us because they just wanted to commemorate the fact that this Bible that had, it was supposed to sell about 100,000 copies, but it already had sold 200,000. Well, now 30 years later, we're approaching 4 million. And every year, Prison Fellowship gives away about 100,000 of those Bibles, probably more. So it's a wonderful joy that people have found hope and healing through the Life Recovery Bible. Now, a lot of people think that since it's a faith-based Bible foundation, Jesus-believing movement, Life Recovery, that we ought to say right up front, Jesus, that we came to believe that Jesus could restore us to sanity. And there are some programs I've been in where that is how that second step would read. But here's the way we wrote it, just like the original. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now let me tell you, that is a great concept, and here's why. Many people believe in Jesus and they're going to go to heaven, but they have never allowed Jesus to restore them. They've never allowed Jesus to be a power greater than themselves. So they're still in total control of their lives. They're still running everything. So we believe that saying a power greater than ourselves could restore us sets us up to turn our lives and our wills over to that power, not just believe that that power sent His Son Jesus to die for our sins. We want to live like Jesus also. So that's why I like also. If you know anything about addiction, you know that many people, maybe you've been there. The addiction strips us of so many things, and it pushes shame down upon us. And many times we feel so ashamed, we're just not ready to talk about the God the Creator. So here we have a power greater than ourselves. And everybody that knows anything about life recovery and the folks that are behind the development of it and the continuation of it know that all of us want every person to make that power Jesus Christ. And I hope and pray that there are folks that maybe they read this step and they've been believing in Jesus for a long time. They might stop and think, I've never ever really allowed this power greater than myself to run my life, to be in control of my life, to have power over me. That's what we'd love to see. Well, today we're going to see some great and wonderful insights from Chris Williams. Chris is a wonderful therapist. He is specialized in sexual addiction. He's trained with absolutely the best folks about lust and sexual addiction. He has a wonderful private practice, and he's a great believer. And I love having him on New Life Live. Whenever he's on, I just know it's going to be a good day. So I want you to see this video that he created, and I think it'll give you some great insight. And as always, if you don't have a Life Recovery Bible, or if you have a question about something, we want to help you. And there are people waiting all the time at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, right after this break, I'll be back and share some more about today's show.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Steve Arterburn here, and as I said, Chris Williams is going to provide our coverage today. He's a great host on New Life Live. Chris is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and of course he's worked through his own struggles with sexual integrity. And this is what I love about him. He had the problem, he dealt with the problem, and then he trained to help others with the problem, and he's done some of the most effective work possible. Now, he has designed and developed Christian recovery programs, he's designed family programs, trauma recovery programs, and even been involved with addiction treatment centers, and he's consulting with those treatment centers. What I'm trying to say is that he knows what he's talking about. You can trust what he has to say. Now, here's what he's going to say a little bit. He's going to discuss the key principles in sex addiction. Now, when we wrote Every Man's Battle, we said right in the beginning, hey, this is kind of a book for pre-sex addicts. So you don't have to be a sex addict to benefit from this particular book. And in doing that, we also said, but everything in Every Man's Battle, it applies to sex addicts. But here, he's going to cover these topics that apply to every sex addict we've ever known. Fear, responsibility, holiness, courage, and community. Now, what I love about holiness is that the Bible standard is to not let there be even a hint of sexual immorality in your life. And that's what holiness is all about. So it's important to understand these things, and Chris is going to help us understand them because they really are, they're the structure and the foundation of good, solid recovery when the call is for sexual integrity. That's a call all of us want to answer. Here's Chris.
Hi, this is Chris Williams, co-host of New Life Live, and I'm going to do a 5-part series on just some really key principles of addiction and recovery, specifically sexual addiction. And today I want to start off with fear. And this may sound kind of strange. It's like, how isn't fear a negative thing? Isn't fear kind of one of the things that drives sexual addiction? How could it be a positive attribute? Well, I want to answer that question with starting with a verse in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." And it goes on to say that a fool rebukes wisdom or doesn't heed to wisdom. And where fear comes in as a really positive attribute is when we connect to the reality of sexual destructive behavior. when we play out the consequences over a long period of time, then we see where this will lead. We see what this is causing in our own life, in the lives of others. There should be a tremendous amount of healthy fear in that. I fear causing destruction. I fear causing harm. I fear this going on longer. The other aspect of that is I fear breaking the heart of God. We don't talk about this fear of the Lord, I believe, enough. And it's something that, for me, it's kind of at times hard to get my head around. But when I think about, again, different in verses in Psalm 139, it talks about where David is saying, where can I go to hide myself from God? And it says nowhere. If I go to the depths, if I go to the heights, you are there. You see everything. And when we fear the Lord and know that he sees everything, and we have secret destructive behavior continuing on that's causing destruction in our life and in the lives of others, as well as breaking the heart of God, that fear then becomes a motivator. And the positive motivator of fear is to move us into action. It's to not to paralyze us in indecision or inaction, but to move us into solution. And so if sexual addiction or sexually destructive behavior is something that you are struggling with, in a very healthy way, I want you to be able to connect to the fear, the healthy fear of the consequences and destruction that this is causing. I want you to connect to the reality that God is not blind to this. Of course, he comes at it with great understanding and compassion, but he also comes at it with a broken heart for the destruction that it is causing. What I want to talk about in this segment is responsibility. Responsibility, if I could really put it out there in its clearest terms, is full and complete ownership. A lot of times in sexually destructive or addictive behaviors, or any addictive behaviors, what ends up happening is this thing called disassociation, which means that we disconnect from ourselves. We disconnect from our conscious thoughts, and we fall into almost this trance-like state. And so it's really important that we're able to connect to reality. But the important part of connecting to reality is taking responsibility for our lives, taking responsibility for every inch of our lives. Again, part of addiction, it works in helping us believe that we're somehow a victim, that we're somehow can't do anything about it, or we use a lot of justifications and rationalizations to continue the behavior. But what ends up happening is the person that we victimize the most is ourselves in the process of victimizing people around us. A way out of that is saying, no, I take full responsibility for all aspects of the problem in which I struggle with. And what that does is it actually starts the process of empowerment. Because if everyone else or everything else is the problem, then I have no solution. But if I am the problem, then I actually have a solution. And if I own the problem, then I can begin to own the solution. So a key principle in the recovery process, in addressing and coming into light with a lot of these, again, behaviors that are gripping us and also destroying us and destroying those around us, is radical ownership of every inch of our lives. The responsibility is also the responsibility in the recovery process, saying that no one else is going to be responsible for you working the program. No one else is going to be responsible for you creating time boundaries and space boundaries about doing the work that you need. And so, again, responsibility for the problem, responsibility for the solution. And one of the things that I can tell you is that when I've taken responsibility for my problems in my life and when I've taken responsibility for the solution, God has met me there every single time. But one of the principles I want to talk about today is something that I think has been diminished over time, and it's the principle of holiness. In fact, in my own life, when I think of holiness, I've happened to traditionally think of it as sort of holier than thou. It's something that actually, for me, at times can have a negative connotation rather than a positive connotation. And what I want to land or start here with today is that if we think of holiness as completeness or wholeness, a sense of integrity or integration. So when we look at holiness and integrity as these two things, and not just as behavioral aspects of our life, but actually a heart issue that keeps things together. The holiness of God says that he's together, he's integrated. He's not deceptive. He's not deceiving. He's not this way one day and a different the next day. He's trustworthy and he is safe and secure. And most importantly, there is a tremendous power in that his safety and his security, that his holiness gives him a sense of rightness, that at the end of the day gives the rest of us a sense of security. And that's really what I believe that the impact of holiness in our life can be, is that holiness makes us safe people. In the things in our life that, again, sexual behavior and sexually destructive behavior and processes that disintegrate us, that divide us, that create double lives and triple lives, and in tremendous amount of chaos on the inside. What holiness does as a principle is that at the beginning it's terrifying because it exposes everything, and it creates a collision course. But the healing process brings it and mends it all together. And that we can be more whole and more complete, more integrated people, not just safe for ourselves, but safe for those around us. And I believe that what God wants to take that was previously destructive, he wants to make actually incredibly safe and healing and life-giving. So I want to really kind of restore and redeem this word holiness as something that is good and incredible and in fact awesome that we get to participate in. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and help you connect with wholeness and the holiness of God.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Day. That was powerful information that Chris shared. Let's continue on with hearing more from him about courage and community as it relates to the recovery of a sex addict recovering from sexual addiction. I don't know of any more powerful C as courage and community other than connection.
Chris Williams here, co-host of New Life Live, and I am doing a series on core principles of sexual addiction and sexual addiction recovery. And today in this segment, I want to talk about community. But let me first start off with a problem. Addiction thrives in isolation. It thrives in secrecy and hiddenness. And the more that we continue addictive, especially sexually addictive behavior, the more we're actually trying to cure loneliness, but the more lonely we become over and over and again. And it really is oftentimes described as an intimacy disorder, an inability to be close to another person. But that is really a torturous place to live. There is a tremendous amount of fear in that place. There's a tremendous amount of emptiness in that relationally disconnected state of being. And again, that is actually necessary for the sexual addiction to live on and even thrive. And so today I want to really press into the importance of relationship and community. The principle of community is absolutely essential to the recovery from sexual addiction. My own story, as well as many other stories I listen to, is so many people try to beat this thing on their own. And what they're doing is they're getting into the ring with an 800-pound gorilla and they're getting beat up over and over and over again, which creates a sense of hopelessness, helplessness, even despair. And this is really a desperate situation. It's even life-threatening. I've seen a lot of people become suicidal in these places. And in that relational disconnection, their greatest need is for relationship, is community. To get into a community with other people, this is recovery groups. This is things like Every Man's Battle. This is things like even like Restored for women, or programs for women. But the importance of walking this out relationally can't be overestimated. Sexual addiction is a relational disorder, so you're not going to be able to get through it or into recovery in isolation. What was relationally broken needs to be relationally restored. And so I want to encourage people, again, in this place, if you're struggling with sexual addiction, you know if someone's struggling with sexual addiction, help them get into community. And the last thing I want to say with this is that, yes, relationships and community is messy, but that's where character is formed, and ultimately, that's where healthy identity is formed. And I want to land it here in the core principle of courage, and how courage can positively change your life. And that maybe it doesn't take a whole lot of courage, or maybe it takes a whole lot of courage in a very small amount of time. A few years ago, I was watching the movie We Bought a Zoo. And it's this just loving movie about a father trying to restart his family's life after the passing of his wife. And he's talking to his son about how he met his wife originally, and then also helping him make some decisions about how to approach a girl that he has a crush on at school. What he tells his son in these stories is that it took him 20 seconds of insane courage to approach his wife. And the encouragement to his son, 20 seconds of insane courage to go talk to this girl. And what he said is that 20 seconds of insane courage changed my life forever, because that's how he met his wife, obviously his son's mom. And I think the same powerful principle applies to us in the things that we struggle with in our lives, especially in our sexually destructive and addictive behavior. We are terrified of bringing these things into the light. We're terrified. The shame tells us over and over and over that we may not even survive it, that we will lose everything, that the worst thing that we can possibly believe about ourselves will absolutely be true if I say what needs to be said, if I tell the truth, if I'm transparent with what I'm really struggling with and the nature of what I'm really struggling with. But I can say this, both from my own life and from many, many, many guys that I work with. It was 20 seconds of insane courage to reveal and to put into the light the things that they were struggling with, to put into the light the secrecy of their sexually destructive behavior and sometimes sexually addictive behavior. And it was those 20 seconds to tell the truth, to get it into the light, in which they started the journey, the profound journey of recovery, of healing, of restoration. And certainly there's 20 more seconds over and over and over and over again that we need of that insane courage over our life. But if you're struggling in sexually addictive or destructive behavior, and you're trapped in paralyzing fear, I want to encourage you, 20 seconds of insane courage can change your life forever. It takes 20 seconds to pick up that phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back. Well, I want to wrap up talking, first of all, about courage and community. You know, one of the challenges to being in community is that we're afraid of connection. For whatever reason, a lot of times it's shame. You might feel as though you're going to be rejected, or it might be the group that isn't the right group. Well, we have to ask ourselves, you know, what is it we're really afraid of that prevents us from going and connecting? Now, it takes courage to go to a meeting. It takes courage to open up to other people. And, you know, you're just going to have to find a way to be a little bit more comfortable with the discomfort of risk so that you can seek community. And of course, as you get into that community, the more time you spend in community, the more courage you seem to gain. Courage isn't about being fearless, of course. It's about feeling fearful, yet doing the next right thing. My definition of courage is this: doing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, no matter the consequences. How many times have we known what to do and we didn't do it at that time, and then we look back and go, oh, man, I wish I had done that. That's why I say when it needs to be done. Well, it's going to take some bold moves to connect in community. And I'm just wondering, is there anything that you're willing to do in a different way? And if so, make that thing being willing to get into a healing, redemptive community. You know, when you accept the responsibility to do what you need to do in recovery, that courage that so many people have tapped into, that have borrowed from somebody else or asked God to give them, grant them, that's when lives start to change. And that's what I want for you. Now, the power of recovery is pretty evident when people come to Every Man's Battle. I see these guys come in and they're scared, and many of them are angry, and I think a lot of them are just trying to meet the requirement or demand of a wife that caught them, we'll say. And then they go and they find out there's no shame there. Other people have struggled as they struggle, many worse than they struggle. And then there's hope. And guys involved in bad little boy behavior leave with integrity, feeling great about themselves. I get a Christmas card from one of our board members every year with him and all the grandkids around, and he said, if I had not gone to Every Man's Battle, this picture would never be taken because I'd be divorced. Let me read to you Romans 7:15. It says, I don't really understand myself. Paul's saying this. For I want to do what's right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. Well, what does he do? Well, the hope is found in the 12th verse of the 8th chapter. You have no obligation to do what your sinful nature urges you to do. And so life recovery helps you in a process to free you from your body and your mind feeling obligated to act out and do what we know is wrong. There's freedom. You're probably not going to find that on your own. You're not going to find that in secrecy. The courage to get into community is going to be the key. Hey, thanks for tuning in, watching, and I'm going to be right back here with some more great video for you here on Life Recovery Today. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.